It was a moment 5 years in the making for the Greater Western Sydney Giants. On Saturday, the AFL team won a 36-point victory over hometown rivals, the Sydney Swans, catapulting them into their first ever preliminary final. It wasn't only a win for the Giants, but for the AFL in its quest to infiltrate the rugby league heartland of Western Sydney. Sarah White caught up with the team.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the ANZ Stadium.
Thank you, Joy. Joy O'Hara has come a long way to see her son Zach Williams play in the AFL finals.
There'll be a lot of nervousness in that group right now. There will have been some sleepless nights. So here we go, some history for the AFL, history for the game of football in Sydney.
She's from Narrandera in southern New South Wales, but today she's happily part of the Greater Western Sydney cheer squad, clearly outnumbered by the red and white supporters of the Sydney Swans.
Williams was there with him.
He's the mama's boy, so I really like to, support him. I didn't like him leaving home. I think I probably had more of a separation anxiety issue than he did.
Moving to the big city in Sydney was a really big change for me. It was the first time I moved away from my mum, so it was tough, but she kind of kicked me out the door and said, don't get homesick.
GWS represents over 2 million people, but only 5 years since the club's creation, many players are still imported from outside of the region.
Yeah, growing up in Narrandera, it's a really, really small local community, so I never thought I'd be playing AFL football on TV.
But Williams knows where he's going. How's that kick?
Giants started up the academies when I was 16. I think that really helped me get noticed.
Look at the ferociousness from Williams.
A win is important for any team, but for a fledgling club like the Giants, there's a lot more riding on their success.
Giants in front by a point.
The goal for us is to maintain this, so that we don't just, get into the finals this year and then drop out and never be seen of again.
Franklin tries to bust through.
Western Sydney is the heartland of rugby league, but the AFL has made inroads.
How ferocious is this?
We started effectively 6 or 7 years ago. We had nothing. We started in the grandstand at Blacktown. The footy department was in the Rudy Hill RSL, of all places. How do you get recognised in a crowded Western Sydney market with an AFL club? Well, Izzy Folau was the mechanism for that.
This for his first goal in AFL football from outside 50.
We were unknown in Western Sydney. He brought in that rugby league crowd, and people said, "Oh, we've got to take this seriously."
Izzy's on the board.
How are you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah,
all ready to go?
Tony Shepherd knows a thing or two about goals. The former president of the Business Council of Australia has been at the helm of the Giants' rise since the beginning.
How you going, mate? You all right?
Mate, terrific. Yeah. The blueprint was one of, let's push on the community football at the same time as we create an elite club. Let's build the team gradually based on draft picks and what have you, and let's work the community side of it at the same time.
That support is something the Giants are developing at a grassroots level across the region.
Firstly, when I thought of AFL, I used to think it was just a trash sport, but then I started playing it and I got used to the game, so I prefer it over most sports now.
The AFL has introduced a program aimed at encouraging more Muslim youth to play the game.
We're very open and inclusive, so we look to work with different communities that are underrepresented in our game.
Well, I feel like I have a career in AFL if I keep training and dedicating my time to AFL.
My family's originally from Lebanon. They're more of a soccer based, but when I started rugby league 5 years ago, they were just so into it. And now with AFL coming in, my family's supporting me heaps. Most of my school plays AFL now.
Allahu Akbar. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
The culture of AFL, actually, I find it's very family orientated. I mean, we have mums and dads that, used to be rugby fans, but have now embraced the culture of AFL because they're seeing how exciting the game is.
The Giants have also fostered a keen family culture, particularly within their own player group.
It's a big lead now, 29 points.
First 12 months they took care of him as though he was their own son. I was flown in to watch him play games about 11 times a year. Watch him, Zach!
Williams, the clearing kick.
My dad passed away when I was 6 years old, so having a strong mother like I do has been really great for me.
Behind you!
I've always had in the back of my mind that she's sitting in the crowd and cheering me on.
The Giants' resounding victory over the Swans has catapulted them into their first preliminary final.
What an afternoon for the Giants. From easy beats to very, very hard to beat.
We wanted to grow the code in Sydney and in Western Sydney. Today's result, 61,000 people screaming their heads off, shows how far we've come.
It was absolutely brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Third quarter, premiership quarter for a reason, right? How good were they?
Melbourne people said you'll never get a crowd, and we proved them wrong. So good on Sydney.
The Giants will now regroup for a home ground contest in 2 weeks' time, and they're banking on local support.
As we get more successful, the numbers will go up. Sydney loves winners.
Sarah White reporting. That's the program for tonight. Thanks for your company. I'll see you at the same time tomorrow, but for now, good night.